The truth behind my daughter's pain. A mother's story. My 11-year-old daughter would limp whenever she woke up in the morning. I often gave her a day off from school, thinking she was unwell. One day, her teacher called me in and said, "Tonight, sleep in your daughter's bed. You'll understand everything." I lay on her bed for just 5 minutes when something made my heart sink. The next morning, I kept calling for my daughter Chanda, but she didn't wake up. It was already 10 a.m. I had been extremely worried about her for a while. She had even stopped going to the madrasa, religious school. I started to feel as if some dark force had taken over her. She used to sleep beside me, but for the past few months, she had been sleeping alone in a separate room. I felt like she was hiding something from me. Whenever I knocked on her door in the morning, she would take a long time to open it and look very anxious. That day was no different. After repeatedly calling her, she finally answered in a weak voice. When she opened the door, her face looked pale and disturbed. I noticed her standing in an odd, painful posture. She was clearly in discomfort. That same day, my sister-in-law, Shabana, came to visit. She had been married for 30 years but never lost contact with her family. I feared that if she saw my daughter in that condition, she would certainly comment. She always looked for opportunities to speak ill. "Amna, where is your daughter? I haven't seen her in ages," she asked. Suddenly, my daughter walked in, limping again. Shabana covered her mouth in shock and said, "What happened to her? Why is she walking like this? God forbid, has something terrible happened?" Her words pierced my heart. Shabana had always flaunted her own daughters and criticized others. I brushed it off and said my daughter wasn't feeling well, and there was nothing serious, but I noticed Shabana scanning my daughter from head to toe with judging eyes. I quickly sent my daughter back to her room and asked her to come out properly dressed. When she didn't come out for a while, I had to go in myself. There, I saw something shocking on her pillow. I never imagined my daughter could hide something like this from me. But before I could confront her, Shabana was calling me again. So I stayed silent and didn't ask any questions. When my daughter finally came out, she was wearing a beautiful, expensive-looking outfit. I was disturbed because I had never bought her those clothes. I hadn't even seen her mention or desire them before. It was clear someone else had given them to her, but Shabana didn't seem to mind. She praised my daughter's beauty and laughed, saying, "Mashallah, may God protect her from the evil eye." I couldn't understand her tone. After she left, I scolded my daughter. "Where did you get these clothes from?" "I didn't buy them for you." She replied, "Ammi, don't be upset. I told you about my rich friend Faisla at the madrasa. She gave me these clothes on my birthday." I said, "Then you should have told me. What if Shabana had asked you directly?" My daughter replied, "Ammi, Shabana auntie isn't as bad as you think. She understands our struggles." I didn't want to argue further. I went back to my chores. But something didn't feel right. The next day, my daughter didn't go to the madrasa again. She said she was too tired and needed rest. She never did household chores and always said she got tired easily. I began to wonder, why was she always so tired? She had also changed her routine. She no longer woke up early but stayed up late at night and woke up late in the morning. I didn't question her but noticed everything. Another day, when she came out limping again, my old acquaintance Rashida, who was once my workmate and now worked with herbal medicine, came by. When she saw my daughter, she immediately asked for water. I knew she wanted to speak privately. Once my daughter left, Rashida looked at me seriously and said, "Amna, how can you be so careless as a mother? Your daughter's behavior isn't normal. She walks like married women do, like someone who's involved in something. Her eyes have a strange boldness. You need to keep a strict watch on her. If something bad happens tomorrow, who will you blame? Look at her clothes, how she walks, how she behaves. Something isn't right." Her words shook me to the core. Rashida had a sharp eye. If she was saying this, there had to be something. I made up my mind to watch my daughter day and night. I started with following her. One afternoon, when she left for the madrasa, I put on a black chador and quietly followed her. She took a different route, not towards the madrasa. She stopped a rickshaw, paid for it, and left. I was stunned. Where did she get the money? I never gave her any. I also hired a rickshaw and followed her. To my relief, she did go to the madrasa. I decided to speak with her teacher. I met with Ustani Dania, who used to teach her. She said, I used to teach her in the morning shift, but now she's in the evening shift. I haven't interacted with her much recently, but I will say she's changed. She always looks sleepy. She says she's in pain and wants to go home. She never used to be like this. I suggest you keep an eye on her at home. I was shocked. Everything started making sense now. When I returned home, I remembered the wad of 5,000 rupee notes I once saw under her pillow. I hadn't thought much of it then, but now it all seemed suspicious. I decided to stay with her in her room that night. But she was clearly nervous. She even brought me a glass of milk. I drank it and immediately fell into a deep sleep. When I woke up, several hours had passed. I was furious. I had planned to observe her, but she had drugged me to sleep. When I opened my eyes, she was sitting there, wearing shiny white clothes. I asked her why she was so dressed up. She said, Ammi, it's Friday. I wanted to wear clean clothes for Jummah. We don't get many chances to please Allah. I asked, what do you mean? You go to the madrasa, learn the Quran, why do you talk like that? What have you done? She went silent, her eyes filled with sorrow. Then she said, Ammi, please find a good boy for me. I want to get married. I'll manage my dowry by tutoring children. Don't treat me like a burden. I was speechless. A girl of just 11, talking about marriage so bluntly. Later that day, my sister-in-law Shabana returned, holding a bunch of clothes. She sighed, I've come to ask for your daughter's hand for my son, Furkan. I was stunned. Furkan had a terrible reputation. I said, are you out of your mind? Shabana smiled coldly and said, your daughter already works with us. She dances at our events every night. You thought I'd forget how you insulted me when I married into a family of dancers? I've taken my revenge. Your daughter is just like us now. My world collapsed. She had won. And I was helpless. When your own daughter falls from grace, who can you blame? If you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.